Welcome back to DC-Cember, as me and my guests, Velvetjoker and Patrick Palen, continue through the top 12 standalone DC films.
Buddy, eyes up here.
I mean, heck, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
I did go to see that a few days before everyone else got to. And again, I love James, what James has given us up to this point. I was like, I got faith in James, but it's Superman, and Superman can be a little boring, a little hokey. And I was a little nervous about all the characters, but I was pleasantly surprised. It was a great, cohesive movie. I got a buddy that's got it on, I've got like one of those Plex things. So I've watched it like 8 times. Okay. Sometimes I just have it on in the background because it makes you feel good when you watch it.
Yeah.
And all those characters were cohesive, and they did a great job. And I thought Rachel Brosnahan was a strong Lois Lane. I thought she brought aspects of Margot Kidder, as well as her own iteration. And I really dug their interview in the apartment together, and her wonder when Mr. Terrific is doing his damn thing.
Holy shit.
First, I want to say to you guys and the viewers, for any that voted, thank you, because I wasn't sure if this movie would actually make it to the top 12, at least not at number 5, but thanks to the popularity of not only making it past 600 million in the box office, but to also be at this high ranking among some of the classic movies, that's something. And I would say, yeah, this was a great start for James Gunn's DCU, and despite having other characters, it makes sense because we all know Superman's story. We've seen through countless shows, movies, being in part of group ensembles, whether it's animated or live action. So I say this makes sense that for the first superhero to be created, that you should have a movie as part of this new DC universe, one where there are other characters, not just him as like the only hero.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. It was surprising and interesting to see a take where our first experience with him is in a world where he's not special in the sense of being the only superpowered hero out there. And so that was really cool to see the take on the story, use that as a challenge for how to make this a good story. Like the way he has to prove himself to the world, it's different when there's other metahumans out there than compared to when he's the only one. Like what makes this guy different besides, possibly being the most powerful, right? And they showed him saving squirrels, and I'm like, as the viewer, I'm like, that is very different. Like, I've never seen any superhero save a squirrel in any superhero movie in any time I can remember, let alone any of the movies from the 2000s up.
I think Christopher Reeve saved the cat.
Yeah.
Gee, thanks, mister.
Bye, Frisky.
The squirrel was very cute. And the dog, too. He had to blow the dog away so it didn't get crushed by the kaiju.
That's right.
Speaking of dogs, Crypto is probably one of the funniest and best parts of the movie.
Yeah, he was a ton of fun. He definitely was a hard turner for sure. But, that brings up, I thought a really great aspect that James gave us in this movie is really showing like those things with the squirrel and with when Superman wanted to make sure that the people didn't get crushed in the building by the kaiju, because they did fire into the building a little bit. That was really an aspect of the previous Superman movies that I always bothered me. I was like, why doesn't Superman fly away? That's what he always did in the other movies and the other comics to lessen the damage in Metropolis. So to see them really pushing that, hey, he's really making an effort not to let the city get destroyed during these epic fucking battles, even with a monstrosity that's stories and stories high. So I really love that aspect.
And it makes sense to bring the other characters because Superman views every life as sacred and important. And for members of the Justice Gang, they don't exactly view that. I mean, obviously by the end of the movie, they respect Superman, but that doesn't mean they're going to do everything the same way he does, especially from Hawkgirl.
I mean, I expected her to be rough, but I did not expect her to kill. I was like, whoa. The reverse of that, Nicholas Hoult as Lex Luthor, woof. I think my favorite live action Lex now. I'm not saying he's my of all time because, Clancy Brown is fucking woof. But Nicholas Hoult dropping the pencils a couple of times. That was brilliant.
That's terrible. But yeah, brilliant way to show what an awful person he was.
Yeah, but his mania was beautiful, and his hatred for Superman was so pure, and you felt it through the screen.
Especially with that 1A scene.
I'm pleasantly surprised with this movie, and also it's going to take me time to process it in a good, and I mean that in a good way.
Absolutely.
Because it's just like, wow, like I feel like we finally have it, like a good modern Superman movie. It's like,
Yeah, because at first I wasn't crazy about the suit, but it's growing on me. And on a recent interview, the way he explained it makes sense because he doesn't want to look like this imposing Greek god. He takes on a more pro wrestler vibe where he just wants to look friendly, warm kind of person.
yeah. And it definitely comes across that way. And the actor, oh man, like I feel like he strikes me as having the same kind of charisma as Chris Evans, like when we first got to see him as Captain America. And I feel like they struck gold with this guy, and I really hope they don't mess it up.
I thought it was interesting when Harley and I came out of the movie. I was like, I only have one complaint. And at the time, it was Ma and Pa Kent. I thought they went way too hicky, more Ma than Pa. But then I saw an interview where apparently James Gunn wrote that for a Howard Stern writer. His name is Richard Christie. I don't know if anybody's an old school fan of Howard Stern, but Richard Christie was one of the main writers, and his parents are from like Kentucky, and he's had them on the show. And so James actually modeled them after his parents. So now I fucking appreciate it on a whole other level that I hated when I first saw it.
That's interesting. It's so interesting, like having more context about that kind of stuff. Sometimes it's just like, oh, okay, that's interesting trivia. But then in like what you were talking about, it makes you see it in a totally new way.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I was like, because at seeing it in the movie, I was like, oh, this is almost comical. It's too over the top. But now being familiar with his parents on the show back in the day, I was like, oh, wow, that's fucking on point. That is spar on. You got it.
It's always interesting with writers and directors where they take influences from things either from their own lives or things that they have seen when they were younger.
Yeah, it makes me again think back to Zack Snyder, like not in a bad way, but just it's curious, like the difference that Zack was drawing upon versus James.
You could even go back further with Christopher Nolan, because apparently a lot of those movies were written by his brother.
I would say for this movie, much kind of like with the Batman, it had influences from other movies because we saw aspects of Christopher Reeve, and I would say there were some key aspects of some of Snyder's work, like the people not trusting Superman, because that was a whole thing in Dawn of Justice, but I think this was handled a little bit better.
Very impressed that they give us a depiction of a character like this that feels accurate to how people in our world would react, while at the same time being free of the restraints of being like, let's imagine this is literally in our world, because that's what Snyder did. So it's just similar enough.
Seeing Superman's pain when Lex killed, I think his name was Malik. He was the guy that fed Superman. He was like a vendor of some sort of food vendor.
Superman, no. Don't tell him no.
He is willing to kill anyone that is related to Superman, no matter how big or small.
And it really made me want to explore more of Rex Mason, Metamorpho's character. I wanted more of his background.
That's one of the good aspects I love about this movie, that there was a good balance of practical and special effects.
Oh, yeah. And speaking of that, get the toy, Crypto.
30. Oh, the stupid dog.
Yeah, like those, and like for the robots, I saw some of them actually being designed. Even for Metamorpho, that was not CGI. That was actually a practical costume he put on.
Right.
I think the sweet spot's definitely something in between with the practical and CGI.
And I loved, you always love Alan Tudyk's edition as number 4.
One day you'll give me a name.
4's a name.
So is Gary.
He's one of the best voice actors, especially for robot characters.
It's like Anthony Daniels, where he can convey humor with just the right type of nuance. And it's like acting, but especially voice acting. I have so much respect for that. Because I didn't know before how difficult of a nuanced art it could be. And Alan Tudyk's just perfect because he can do so much just with his voice, and then on screen, obviously, he must be great when working with directors because he just keeps getting these roles.
The fact that for Alan Tudyk and Nathan Fillion, they got to be involved in this movie, and yet both actors have a long history with DC before James Gunn, between Justice League Unlimited, Young Justice, and other animated movies and series. I'm just happy they found more roles as part of this new universe.
Oh, also, I just really want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Terrific. I didn't ever really know about that character before, and then the actor who plays him,
Edie Gathegi.
He was also in X-Men First Class.
oh, that's right. I saw something about that recently.
Yeah, this is like his redemption role, because in that movie he played Darwin, which is a character in the X-Men that is supposed to be able to evolve to any type of danger, and then he gets killed like almost immediately. Like for him, this is a big superhero redemption story for him.
Yep, because now they're talking about bringing in a terrific spin-off series as well as maybe a Jimmy Olsen spin-off series, because I love the fact that Jimmy was a ladies' man, especially with Steve Tessmacher.
But you said my toes look like someone spilled shrimp cocktail on the floor.
You have unconventional toes. Who cares?
I'm hoping maybe not exactly a Jimmy Olsen show, but maybe something with the Daily Planet crew.
That would be pretty cool. This movie did so well that this could be really what forever pushes a whole bunch of the cast from this movie into the mainstream.
You know what's even more interesting? That young beast became one of the most intimidating Lex Luthors.
And Nick Holt was also the highest paid actor on this set.
Really? Oh my gosh, that's definitely going to change in the sequel, I'm imagining. But yeah, I mean, Nicholas Hoult, I definitely don't disagree with that. He delivered such a good performance.
Now, Patrick, the possibilities now of Nicholas Hoult, Lex Luthor going to Belle Reve, which they seem to point out very succinctly, that's Amanda Waller territory. Can you imagine what they could be cooking up together?
We got something really good going on here now for the next, at least for the next decade, I think.
That'll be something.
Yeah.
As long as it doesn't get too weird like in Public Enemies.
I intend for you to play a role in all this.
Thanks for watching today's episode. If you enjoyed the commentary, be sure to check out my guest podcast channels. Click the links in the description box to find out more details.